Hello! Today we will talk about the types of lakes. Lakes are classified according to the origin of the basin, the water balance, and the types of mineralization. Choose the type of lake you want to learn more about. Tectonic lakes. Tectonic lakes are formed by the deformation and resulting lateral and vertical movements of the Earth's crust. Such lakes are usually found in seismically active zones and are characterized by significant depths, the presence of rocky slopes, and an elongated shape. The bottom of most reservoirs is located at the level of the world ocean, while water mirrors are much higher. There is a certain regularity in the location of tectonic lakes. They are concentrated along the earth faults or in rift zones, but they can also frame shields. Tectonic lakes include the world's deepest Lake Baikal, the high-altitude Lake Titicaca in the Andes, Lake Tanganyika located within the East African Rift, etc. Glacial lakes. The basins of glacial lakes were formed as a result of the activity of an ancient glacier. Such lakes do not differ in great depths and are found in certain groups near each other. Widely represented in Karelia, Finland, the Kola and Labrador Peninsula, etc. Examples of such lakes can be Lakes Ladoga and Onega in Eurasia, and North American lakes. The deepest lake of glacial origin is Lake St. Clair on the island of Tasmania, with a depth of 200 meters. Glacial lakes are the most common type of lakes created by external forces. Landslide dams. Also called barrier lakes, these are the natural dams of rivers formed by some kind of landslide, such as debris flow, rock avalanche, or volcanic eruption. This is how Lake Tana in Africa and Lake Senevier in Ukraine were formed. Endorheic lakes. Also called closed or terminal basins, these lakes are left over from the ancient sea basins that disappeared millions of years ago, losing contact with the oceans. Such lakes include the Caspian and Aral Seas, Lake Denuzle in Ukraine, and Lake Chad. Oxbow lakes. An oxbow lake is a part of the former stream which was completely or partially separated from the river. It is a pool that forms when a wide meander of a river is cut off, creating a free-standing body of water. Such lakes are small in size and are found along the plain riverbeds. Karst lakes. These lakes were formed as a result of the impact of water on soluble rocks. The main condition for the formation of karst lakes are the presence of easily soluble rocks. The flow of karst processes occurs in favorable hydrological and climatic conditions such as sufficient humidity, the presence of underground water, and the slope terrain. The formation of karst lakes is associated with permanent or temporary flooding of large negative karst landforms by surface or underground water. Such forms can be located both directly in soluble rocks and in those layers of insoluble rocks that cover them, and are sometimes adjacent to them. Such lakes do not occupy large areas, but are usually found near each other. Such lakes in Ukraine include the Shatsy lakes. Volcanic lakes. These lakes are also created as a result of active movements of Earth's crust and are formed in the craters of volcanoes, which is why they are found in the places where intense volcanic activity is observed, namely in Iceland, Italy, and Kamchatka. Such lakes are small, round in shape, but belong to deep water lakes. Their diameter usually does not exceed 2 to 3 kilometers, but the depth reaches several hundred meters. One of the largest volcanic lakes is Lake Kronatskoye on the Kamchatka Peninsula. These lakes are used by humans for water supply to settlements, enterprises, irrigation of fields, extraction of salt and healing mud, for fish breeding, or as a recreation area. Meteorite lakes. The most unique lakes on our planet are meteorite lakes. They are formed at the place of falling meteorites. Upon impact with Earth's surface, explosive craters remain. Their shape resembles funnels from bomb explosions. In humid climates, meteorite craters fill with water and become lakes. To date, approximately 120 such reservoirs have been found on Earth. They are especially frequent in desert regions, in the north of Africa and Australia, and they were also found in the north of the Labrador Peninsula, on the island of Saaremaa in Estonia, and in Chukotka. Aeolian lakes. In arid climates, aeolian lakes are formed in caves, dunes, or depressions between them, and in sand ridges. They are quite numerous on the plains of arid regions. The size of aeolian lakes can be very diverse, from hundreds of square meters to tens of square kilometers. The depth varies from 2 to 5 meters to 10 meters. Such lakes are characterized by the instability of the water regime. During dry season, they become very thin and can even disappear completely, i.e., turn into dry lakes that are filled with water only during infrequent rains. Coastal lakes. Sea waves and currents are the cause of seacoast lakes formation. By washing away sand pebble spits and ramparts, they separate the mouths of rivers or bays from the sea, creating reservoirs. If the mouth of rivers are flooded by the sea, elongated shallow bays appear. On the coasts of the Black and Azov Seas, they are called limans. Limans separated from the sea by spits or ramparts become lakes. Most liman lakes contain fresh water, but there are also lakes with salt water as seawater continues to penetrate the lake and saturate it with salt through the arid areas of the spits. Such lakes are called sevash. Lagoon lakes are found on flat coasts. These are former bays separated from the sea by sandbars. One of the largest salt lakes of Crimea is Lake Sasik. Lagoon lakes are either completely separated from the sea or are connected by a strait permanently or during tides. Seawater can penetrate such lakes through sand spits, so they are often salty. Although these lakes are usually shallow, their area can reach several tons of thousands of square kilometers. The largest lagoon lake in the world is Lake Maracaibo, Venezuela. Artificial lakes. Artificial or anthropogenic lakes, i.e., created by humans as a result of their life activity, are often formed in old quarries, which were once developed for the extraction of minerals. When active work is carried out in the quarry, water that comes out of the springs is pumped out, and when the mining operations stop, the quarry fills itself with water and becomes a lake. Such lakes are usually deep, have stepped slopes, and clean, almost transparent water. They are used for recreation and health purposes. By water balance. According to the nature of the flow, open and closed lakes are distinguished. Open lakes are located in areas of excess atmospheric moisture and can serve as both a source and a mouth for rivers. Examples are Lakes Balaton, Athabasca, Tanganyika, Geneva, Baikal, etc. Closed lakes receive water from rivers only, losing it later during evaporation. Therefore, water in open lakes is fresh and salty in closed ones. Examples are Lake Balkhash, the Dead Sea, etc. By mineralization type. Freshwater lakes have a salinity that does not exceed 1 per mile. Usually, such lakes are open and have fresh water, as it is constantly renewed in them. Salt, which comes with underground and river waters, is carried away from them by flowing rivers. Examples are Lake Baikal, Ladoga, Oneg, etc. If the salinity of water is from 1 per mile to 47, the lake is considered salty. If the lake is closed, salts accumulate in it and water gradually becomes salty. Salt lakes are located in regions with hot and dry climate. There is a lot of evaporation from the surface of the lakes, which leads to such a strong saturation of water with salts. Lakes with salty and brackish water are common in Kazakhstan, the Caspian Sea, on the coast of the Azov and Black Seas, on the West Siberian Plain, and in Transbaikalia. They can also be found on other continents, such as the Aral Sea, Lakes Balkhash, Air, etc. The saltiest lakes in the world are Great Salt Lake, 265.5 per mile, and Lake Elton, 291 per mile. On geographical maps, salt lakes are shown in pink. If the salinity of water in the lake exceeds 47 per mile, then it is considered a mineral lake. Lake Baskinchak is a representative. The saltiest lake in the world is the Dead Sea, with a maximum salinity of 310 per mile. Mineral lakes as well as salt lakes are marked on the map in pink. by positioning. Terrestrial lakes. The absolute majority of lakes that exist on Earth are terrestrial, i.e., they are located on Earth's surface. Examples are the Caspian Sea, Lakes Baikal, Balkhash, Tanganyika, and many others. Subterranean lakes. They are located below the surface of the Earth and may be associated with caves or aquifers. As a rule, such lakes contain fresh water. The largest underground lake in the world is the Dragon's Breath Cave in Namibia, with an area of almost 2 hectares. In Ukraine, underground lakes are common in karst areas. There are a lot of such lakes in the Optimistic Cave.